Today is day 5 of 5-day Web Services Programming Code Camp from JPassion.com. Topics we are going to cover today include JSON, something we have not covered yesterday. So we'll start with the JSON, and then the rest of the day we are going to cover WS star specification. These are generic specification, WS policy and WS addressing, and then WSIT, which covers reliable messaging and binary attachment scheme and security. And finally, if you have time, we'll try to build JAX Web Services application using Maven and Eclipse. One more thing I'd like to talk to you about is that we also have a Spring course. Spring course has a web services topic. So if you want to learn how you can use Spring with web services, let me just go to courses here. And if you click Spring, one of the topic is Spring Web Services. Okay, so please take a look at that one as well. And also we cover web services as part of the our Groovy and Grails course. So if you go to Groovy and Grails course, we cover both the Spring Web Services, Grails Web Services here. So we cover both the SOAP and SOAP and REST in this course. Mostly we are going to actually cover REST. Okay. All right. So let's move on with the first presentation. JSON. This presentation is part of the JavaScript and jQuery course. Okay, so this content is somewhat JavaScript oriented, while JSON is actually very much related to JavaScript, so that's not surprising. So here we are going to learn what is and why you want to use JSON, and then we are going to learn JSON JavaScript Object. And we are going to see how we can convert JSON text to JavaScript object and vice versa. And we can see how we can generate JSON in Java code. So what is and why JSON? JSON is a text format representation of JavaScript object, and it is a JavaScript object literal with some restriction, and we are going to talk about those restrictions in the following slide. And the JSON is readily usable in JavaScript code because a JSON format is a subset of a JavaScript notation. So we are going to see that in the following slide. The thing that is most relevant to us is that JSON is the lightweight and data interchange format compared to XML. So from web services standpoint, JSON is much more lightweight than XML. XML, you have to have opening tag, ending tag, and pretty verbose compared to JSON. So when you're trying to send data between client and server through web services, the usage of JSON is highly recommended. As opposed to XML. And it provides a simple format, so it's easy for humans to read and write, and it's easy for machines to parse and generate. So this is a JSON restrictions. So if you have taken JavaScript course from JPassion.com, you probably know that JavaScript is basically a hash. It's a key value pairs, right? Now JSON is a subset of that restriction. So subset of that JavaScript, the key value pairs. So in JSON, the keys must be strings. Okay, so it's enclosed in double quotes. And the values can be also one of the following, like a string, number, JSON, another JSON object, array, true or false or null, but it cannot be a function. Okay. So if you see this example, this is a genuine JavaScript object because this is a key value pair, but this is not JSON object. Okay, this is not JSON format because the property here is not a string, so it's not a JSON object. And also the value of a property cannot be a function. Okay, it has to be one of those values: string, number, JSON object, array, true or false or null. Okay. So this is an example of JSON object is a subset of general JavaScript object. Okay. So why use JSON over XML? So as I said before, it provides lighter and faster data format than XML, especially when it is used as a data format on the wire. And JSON data is typed while XML data is typeless. Well, XML you can specify. You can think of the XML yeah. So actual document XML schema has a types, but actual XML document itself, those are all strings. Okay. On the other hand, JSON has you can have a string, number, array, and boolean types. Okay. Its native data form for JavaScript code, because the JSON format is the subset of JavaScript format. The JSON data is readily accessible as JavaScript object in your JavaScript code, as opposed to an XML. XML, in your JavaScript code, you have to parse it. Okay, but JSON data is readily accessible as a JavaScript object, because it is the JavaScript object format. Retrieving values is as easy as reading from an object property in your JavaScript code. So once you create a JavaScript object from JSON format data, then you can just access it as a JavaScript property, meaning object of the properties of JavaScript object. So where is JSON used? Sometimes it's used as configuration information. So instead of using XML, you could use JSON as a configuration information because it's key value pairs. Again, in our web services standpoint, the JSON represent better data format as on-the-wire data. It provides the better, more compact, the on-the-wire data format. All right, so let's take a look at JSON notation. So JSON notation is basically a collection of name value pairs with some restrictions, as we talked about. The key has to be a string, and the value cannot be a function, right? But it's aligned with the JavaScript object format. So remember, JavaScript object is also a collection of name value pairs. So JSON is basically the same deal with some restrictions. Okay? So JSON notation can be used in JavaScript language with no extra work, as I mentioned several times. So JSON notation begins with left brace, ends with the right brace, and then you're going to have a set of collections of key value pairs. Okay. So again, each name is followed by colon. So this is the key. So we have a key of name, and the value is Sang Shin, in this case a string. And then we have another key called hobby, and the value happens to be also a string, which is golf. Okay, and these key value pairs are separated by comma. So in your JavaScript code, so this is the JSON format, right? JSON format, and you can actually create a JavaScript object from this JSON format, and then basically you got the JavaScript object. I call it my JSON object. So in this case, what we have, this is a key, and the value happen to be an array. Okay. This array is the several JSON formatted JavaScript object as well. So again, this is the key, this is the value, this is a key, this is a value, this is a key, this is a value, and things like that. Okay. All right, so basically I explained that. And members can be retrieved using a dot or subscript operators. Okay, so basically if I want to get the first if I want to get the first item of this binding array, I can say binding 0, so it will represent this guy. Okay, bindings 1 will represent this guy, right? And then I can actually access the key value pair, the value, by providing the key. So I can say that method, then I should be able to retrieve new URI. Okay, so this represents new URI. All right, so let's do exercise 1.1 in the hands-on lab. Okay, so JSON hands-on lab, and you're going to import this Maven project, Well, actually, yeah, there is, yeah, you don't really, yeah, I think later on we might actually have a project, but for now, you don't have to actually import the project. Basically, you are going to view JSON Object.html file using your browser. So using Chrome, I'm going to actually open the JSON Object.html file. So I'm going to actually go to the sample files, JSON object right here. Okay, and press F12 if you are using Windows to open the Chrome Developer Tools, or you can actually open the you can actually you should have actually way of actually opening it as well. Let's see. So here what we are going to do is open console. So we are going to open JavaScript console, and you can see is accessing the JavaScript object. Okay. So if you take a look at the sources, oh, looks like I just have so we're gonna just take a look at the sources right here. So we have this JavaScript source. Well, actually, we can take a look at here as well, right? Okay, so you can view source like this. Oh, why is it actually keep disappearing? Yeah, so here we can see the code. So select the element. So we have basically created the JavaScript object from JSON notation. Okay, so bindings, and so this is exactly the same the JavaScript code that we have seen in the slide, and we are basically accessing the method. So it will return new URI, and this one returns delete URI. Okay, so that's what we have seen. Okay, all right. So pretty straightforward. I'll give you a few minutes to try this. You can convert from JavaScript object to JSON text conversion. Suppose if you receive your JSON format in a form of a text, like a string, and if you want to convert it, you can actually use eval. Well, let's see how we can do it. So suppose I got a string that represents JSON text, okay? And if I want to convert it into JavaScript object, okay, then you can use eval. However, the usage of eval is highly discouraged because eval can actually evaluate any JavaScript code. So if this text contains some malicious code, then you are going to have some problems. Okay, so instead you want to actually use parse the method. Okay, so eval can compile and execute any JavaScript program, so there can be some security issues. So it could actually cause cross-site scripting problem. So usage of eval is strongly discouraged, and so use eval only when the source can be trusted. Okay, and in general, you should not use eval. Instead, you want to use a parser. Okay, so parser will recognize JSON text and is so much safer. In other words, it will not execute malicious JavaScript code. It will only deal with the JSON text. Okay, so object to text conversion. So you are going to be able to use stringify method to convert JavaScript object to JSON text. By the way, I'm talking about this is a JavaScript code. This is not Java code. Okay, so don't So again, this is actually more or less oriented to JavaScript course. So that's the reason. Okay, so exercise 1.2, I'm going to actually move ahead because this is probably not that much relevant to us. Now, the last topic is JSON in Java. So if you are a Java developer and if you're dealing with the JSON, these are the features that are typically provided in JSON package parser. So you're parsing JSON text files and convert these to Java model, Java object. And renderer, render a Java representation into text. And serializer, serialize plain POJO to JSON representation. Validator, validate the contents of JSON file using JSON schema. All right, so now there are several JSON packages, and I believe the most popular one is called the Jackson. Okay, in fact, this is used internally by Georgie, the JAX-RS implementation that we have been using, and there are a few other JSON Java packages. Okay, let's see. So exercise 2 is playing around with the JSON Java APIs. Okay, so let's actually try that. So exercise 2, and you can run the Java application. This is all Java applications. So this is for parsing and run as, and you're going to see this result. And if you see the code, it's pretty straightforward. You know, we get the file. We have sample JSON text file, which is so this is the sample JSON text file contents, and we convert JSON string to JSON object. So this JSON object is the class that represents JSON, and then we can put another key value pairs. Okay, and then we just display JSON object. Okay, and then we can add, we can read values and display them. Okay, and 2.2 is generating JSON Java application, so it's generating this Java JSON, notation. And so here, basically again, we create JSON object, and then we put a simple element, add the JSON object. That JSON object has its own the key value pairs, and then we accumulate values into array, and then that's pretty much what we do right here. Okay, so as long as you have, you know, this is not actually Jackson package. So if you're using Jackson package, the APIs might be slightly different. Okay, but as long as there is a way that you can actually create this JSON using Java packages, Java library, I mean, that's pretty much all VK at the moment. And 2.3 is convert JSON to XML. So we just convert it to XML. So here we are just using the XML serializer class, and we just take the JSON object and convert it. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much all we are going to do today with the JSON. So I'm going to give you guys about 4 minutes to try exercise 2.